Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Carterless again this morning. Hopefully that'll be resurrected and fixed by tomorrow, but glad you're all joining us this morning. Ben Zeller is going to stop by, and we'll talk county business with him in just a little bit. First off, though, let's get to the weather. Brought to you by the fine folks at AT Deerland Hay Feed and Ranch Services right there in Water Street. Stop on by for all you need. You know, they don't just deal with and cater to the farmers and the ranchers. They have everything for homeowners, from pest control to pet supplies. Great selection of leashes, dog bowls, things like that. So if you've got a dog birthday coming up, stop on by. They've got all the gifts for your pets as well. 46 degrees this morning, chilly one. And heading to a high today of 76. Should be a nice sunny day. Not much in the way of wind or rain in the forecast. So looking like a pretty nice day. But Roy Gutierrez checking in says, take that light jacket. Yeah, I brought one this morning as well. It was a little chilly. But going to be a nice day once the sun rises and starts heating up. 76 for the high. It's basically a Canadian summer day is what this is. Marvin Mickish checking in. Scott Snow, good morning. Kendra Douglas, Roy Gutierrez, Judge Posey, good morning. Torrin Bales, Ricky King, Diane Tippett, Cody Bauman, Rena Scherer, Stephen Kidder, Jordan Glass, Scott Tomko, Sheriff Ladderback, Justin Glass. Bobby Leister, Mike Blaschke, good morning. See who else is checking in that I haven't. Rena Scherer, I don't know if I mentioned Rena. I think we're good now. Mark Kurtz. And appreciate Scott Tomko not rubbing it in on the Astros 5-4 loss. Let's get to the Astros update brought to you by First State Bank. The friendliest bank anywhere. Locations all throughout the Crossroads region and in Sugar Land. New branch open there. A couple of loan processing centers for you as well. But Nathan Eovaldi, 6 strong innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 9 strikeouts. He only walked 1. I'm not sure he wasn't as invincible as he looked. And the Astros got to the Rangers bullpen, so they finally put up some runs, but they lose both at home, which honestly isn't a huge surprise the way they played at home. All season, 39-42 was the regular season record at home. But man, oh man. Framber Valdez didn't pitch well. They wasted a good Justin Verlander start in Game 1. Valdez gets the loss, 0-2 in the postseason. 7 hits, 6 strikeouts. I mean, the 6 strikeouts in 2 2/3 really not indicative of just how poorly he pitched. He was either on or he wasn't. And that was the problem with Framber yesterday. Junior Samples, good morning. Amanda Smith-King, Casey Kitlin Kemp. Francis Pierce, good morning. Brandy Kowalik. But Astros fans are panicking now. Down 0-2, going up to Arlington. Series resumes tomorrow. I guess the only good thing is we've played much better on the road. Real quick, Philadelphia jumped out to an early lead. They win 5-3 to take Game 1 of their series against Arizona. Game 2 tonight. Game 3 for the Astros and Rangers tomorrow, 7:03 in Arlington. But for a team that has 3 pitch or hitting coaches on staff, and this is my biggest beef with the Astros so far in the 2 games this series. Because it's not like they haven't had chances. Bases loaded in Game 1. Came away empty. Bases loaded last night. came away empty. Other opportunities with runners in scoring position. And their approach at the plate absolutely stinks. Bottom of the fifth, 2 outs, Michael Brantley hits a double, standing at second base. Maybe starting to show that, well, you know what? Maybe there's a little bit of a chink in the armor of Nathan Eovaldi. So Michael Brantley doubles. Chas McCormick follows and proceeds to take 3 of the ugliest hacks at pitches I've ever seen in a Major League Baseball game, especially a playoff game. When the batter before you, and it's just lack of situational awareness. Michael Brantley goes with the pitch, hits a double. Chas McCormick comes up and takes 3 ugly hacks, strikes out, and the inning's over. Then in the 6th inning, or that was the 6th, sorry, the 5th inning, Astros with the bases loaded with nobody out. Einer Diaz at the plate. He strikes out on a curveball. Probably should have, and he tried to adjust his swing and get a piece of it. He just got, I don't know if he was caught guessing, but he battled in. But then Altuve comes out. Terrible at bat and approach for Altuve. He's gone back to the Altuve of a couple of seasons ago when he was trying to hit home runs every time he came to the plate, instead of just hitting for average and getting on. But man, even a couple of deep fly balls, or at least one, might score a run. And then Bregman grounds out to third, and that inning is over. It's just some of the most frustrating baseball that I've watched in a long time. And it all stems from, I mean, the pitching early was bad. Bullpen pitched well. I'm not going to, Montero came in. I thought that France pitched pretty well. But the questions around the Astros heading into the postseason was their bullpen. Now it's their hitting, because these guys just are terrible right now. Their approach is horrible. And if I can see that as a little bit more than a casual fan, then I don't know how you can have 3 hitting coaches on staff and none of them can get through to these guys. But work's cut out for him now. There's Patricia Nagel from First State Bank. The Astros update brought to you by the great folks at First State Bank. Go see Patricia. Go see Lolly. Go see any of the people at the branches in Louise, the original, the headquarters, Bolton, Sugar Land, Victoria, right there in Salem, and John Stockbauer, Dottie Bitterly, Stephen Kidder, Jarrett McCurgan. Good morning, cuz. Scott Tomko says Rangers the only unbeaten team in the postseason. Have been some nervous moments. No more so for you're winning these games. Your nerves are put at ease pretty quickly. Jennifer Marr checking in. Peter McNally, Robert Howard. Good morning, everybody. So we'll see what happens. In better news, Cowboys won last night. Now 4-2 on the season. Defense showed up, especially when it mattered most at the end of the game. Cowboys kicked a field goal to go ahead late. And then Micah Parsons picked the right time to get his first sack of the game on 2nd and short, put the Chargers into 3rd and long, and then, again, that pass rush forced Justin Herbert to throw a terrible pass that was intercepted, and the Cowboys come away with a 20-17 win on the road. Hopefully a bit of a defining moment for the Cowboys, and they can kind of turn things around and get back to playing the way they did the first couple of games. But nice to see them get a win. Keep pace with the 3-3 Texans for best team in Texas. Oh, speaking of which, I thought this was interesting. Houston Chronicle always ranks the best college football teams, or ranks college football teams in Texas. They've got the Longhorns at number 1, and I think the Aggies are 7th on that list compiled by the Houston Chronicle. Such football stalwarts as UTSA and SMU ranked ahead of the Aggies right now by the Houston Chronicle as far as college football teams in Texas. So I thought that was interesting. But if you're a college football fan, I don't know that there were anything better than some of the games this weekend. Stanford comes back from 29 down to beat Colorado. I said it from the start. Coach Prime and the Buffaloes were overrated and shouldn't have been ranked after 1 week. Don't get me wrong. He's turned around a program that won 1 game last year and was trending the wrong way to maybe not even win a game this year until he got there. He's done a lot of good things, but not sure they deserve to be in the top 25. But so that was one exciting game Friday night. Houston with a Hail Mary to win their game over West Virginia. That was an exciting finish. So I don't know. And there were a couple other close ones as well. I don't know if you're a college football fan. Just some of the drama and the scripts that were written this past weekend were a lot of fun. And Texas will play Houston this weekend in Houston. That game's already sold out. Tickets on the secondary market's going for ridiculous amounts of money. There's Matt Boucher checking in. Good morning to you, sir. There's a guy who's probably loving this colder weather right now. Let's take our first break, and then we'll switch gears a little bit. Alan's Wrecker Service. Speaking of switching gears, if your car won't switch gears, give Alan a call. 578-6300. They will get your vehicle to the repair shop of your choice and make sure everything that you need is taken care of so you can get back on the road quickly. 578-6300. As temperatures dip and batteries won't start, Alan's can also come and offer you jump service. VCS Company is the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer right there on Kerr Boulevard for all your communication needs. They can meet them. They love a challenge. You'll give them one. And if they can't find the answers or provide them, they'll find somebody who can. That's a great thing about working with the VCS companies. They'll do it. But they're also not too humble, they're humble enough to say, you know what, that's just not quite in our wheelhouse. But chances are you're not going to find anything that isn't in their wheelhouse. They do everything from installing all the communication devices in police and fire vehicles to handling your home security. So stop by the VCS companies. And if you need a new iPhone 15 Pro, the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer has it for you. Chesnick Furniture Company, right there on 116 West Wan Lynn, downtown Victoria. 105 years, Bobby Leon and his family have been selling furniture, delivering it, and meeting and exceeding the needs and expectations of furniture buyers in the Crossroads for 105 years. That's why they stay in business, because they just do a great job. And they're there for you, selling American-made furniture, American-made appliances. And Veracruz, simply the best Mexican food in town. Pre-Caldo Wednesday, Caldo Wednesday Eve is today. Everything's on the menu except the caldo, and that'll be on there tomorrow. Oh, so let's see. What can we get to real quick, and then we'll bring Judge Zeller in. But it looks like the Supreme Court is going to reinstate some of the Biden administration's ghost gun regulations. Apparently those regulations were going to expire And the court, though, decided to block a Texas judge's finding that the rule was illegal. But the case will now go back to the lower courts and could potentially return to the Supreme Court in the future as well. Donald Trump issued a gag order yesterday. He's not prohibited, from what I understand, from talking about the case. He just can no longer denigrate the prosecutors and those who've been on a witch hunt for him since the get-go. So he wrote on Truth Social, a terrible thing happened today. A gag order will appeal the gag order ruling it's a witch hunt. So this one, though, I think in reference to the January 6th investigation and not anything related to what's going on with New York. He's also gone and sued ex-British spy Christopher Steele over dossier allegations. Remember the fake dossier that the Democrats paid for? The DNC bought and paid for this thing. Well, now Donald Trump suing the man who was center and to that. So it just gets more and more interesting. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is facing a deadline of Friday to produce to the House Homeland Security Committee materials in 19 different categories of documents that the Security Committee say could shed light on Mexican drug cartels using the CBP One app and how it may be compromised and benefiting the cartels in their illegal immigrant smuggling business. $6 million to $9 million illegals have come across the border since January of 2021. Depending on who's doing the counting and who you tend to believe. Mark Kurtz says they called Allen's Record Service last night for his wife's car. Great friendly service. Appreciate all of you using and supporting those who support us and this forum. Stephanie Conti checking in. Daniel Wade White says beautiful day for golf. Absolutely. And what do you make of Jim Jordan and his message and run for speakership? Of course, Steve Scalise dropped out after getting a bit of pushback. Decided he wasn't going to fight it. Not that I don't think he wanted to. I just think he realized it's best to try a united front for Republicans. Jim Jordan reportedly sending out a Dear Colleague letter to his fellow Republicans calling for unity as they prepare for a key vote today, I think around noon, if I'm not mistaken. Or about 11 o'clock our time. I think that's noon Eastern. Epoch Times reporting that the letter stressed the importance of focusing on shared principles and working together for the benefit of the American people. I don't know. This one's interesting. But the Republicans have to get something settled here. I think if they don't, they're just going to reinforce the perception that when they have the chance to govern and control the House and possibly the Senate, they just don't get it done. Junior Sample says he thinks Jim Jordan will be okay. Who do we have to prop up against him? I don't know that we need to prop up anybody against him. Junior? I'm hearing some chatter that some of those 5 or 6 stalwarts who think that our former speaker, Kevin McCarthy, was compromising too much, that they may hold out and provide support that would install the House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries in as Speaker. You talk about compromising. Doing everything they can to show their ineptness in Washington, D.C., and it's frustrating. It's troubling. Because perception is often reality in D.C., and unless you're the mainstream media and the propaganda arm of the Democrat Party, then obviously anything we see, they will tell you you're not really seeing, right? I mean, take Joe Biden's appearance on 60 Minutes. If any of you caught that Sunday night, I don't know that they could have scripted the questions any easier. The answers were in the questions. And he still almost screwed it up. Roy Gutierrez says it's unfortunate the GOP can't get their act together. They can't unite within their own. And I get it, because the Republican Party tends to stand for those who believe in less government and individualism. But there is a mechanism that needs to be working properly in order to move Washington, D.C. along, and the Republicans can't seem to get out of their own way up there. And if you don't think the Democrats will seize on that come the 2024 election cycle, because they know the presidential election is going to play out the way it plays out. And they've already started some of the PR campaigns. I heard a report yesterday. Apparently there's early voting, and I don't know what vote's going on in Virginia, but supposedly the reporter was speaking to a voter. This lady must have been reading cue cards. And I'll paraphrase here, but she was like, oh, it's so much easier to be able to go and not have to just vote on voting day. First of all, I always thought it was election day, but whatever. And then she says something like, oh, and there's so many options now to vote, make it so much easier and more convenient. There's no excuses for people not to get out and vote. I'm like, if this is what in the business we call a streeter, man on the street reporting, there's no way. This sounded like she was just reading it. But yeah, the games are already being played when it comes to voting. I still don't understand how a country that's supposedly as great as this one, with all the technology that we have, and we can't seem to get people to vote one day a year. When states are making it even easier by giving you time off, or even in some cases a day off to vote. We can solve lineups at drive-thrus, but we can't solve lineups at polling places. Junior Sample says Mitt Romney pushing back against Jim Jordan, and that makes me want him a speaker even more. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why Mitt's a senator. He doesn't even need to be involved in these conversations. Plus, the guy says he's done. He's retiring. Mitt, you're the problem with the Republican Party right now in Washington, D.C. You're the reason, a big part of the reason nobody in the Republicans trust the majority of those that we've sent there. Our president going to visit the Middle East as early as tomorrow, I believe. calling it a show of support. Anthony Blinken apparently was there yesterday, his second trip since the conflict began. I don't know if Biden showing up there, I mean, it might publicly show some support. I'm not sure it eases tensions in the Middle East, to be honest. And I'm hearing from a few of the folks that there's not a lot of trust between Benjamin Netanyahu and Joe Biden. And the words are basically just that from the Israeli standpoint. They're just words. They just, there's not a lot of belief in Joe Biden and his promises. And I can get that. I mean, I think the fact that he has not said a word about the pro-Hamas stance that members of the squad have taken probably reinforces that. A couple other things real quick, and then we'll bring Judge Zeller in. Rite Aid, huge pharmacy. Not too many stores, I don't think, in Texas. Well, they've got about 2,000 stores. If you travel anywhere, you've seen them, I'm sure. But they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They'll close some stores as part of they're dealing with a couple of different things, mounting debt and a lot of opioid-related lawsuits that I think they've had to settle. So the stores, I think, will keep going, but they're trying to resolve allegations that they knowingly filled unlawful opioid prescriptions. $30 million alone to the state of Virginia. And on a lighter note, 5 additional sports have been added to the 2028 Olympic Summer Games, which will be held in Los Angeles. 33 sports will now feature new sports, including cricket, lacrosse, baseball is back as an Olympic sport, softball as well, and the debuts of squash and flag football. Squash, similar to racquetball, if any of you or if you're not familiar with it. Roommate of mine in college, we used to play all the time, and I enjoyed it better than racquetball. The rackets are longer handled, smaller head, ball doesn't bounce as much. It's a little bit smaller ball than a racquetball. Court's similar. But very popular in most countries but the United States, where racquetball has a hold. And lacrosse, which is the oldest sport in North America, by the way, and the official sport of Canada. Many think it's hockey, but it is not. The national sport of Canada is lacrosse. And it was last played in the Olympics way back at the turn of the last century. So, interesting. No pickleball. I'm with you there, Junior and Steve Kidder. I wanted an Olympic pickleball. I bet you maybe in 2032. I'll lobby for it by then. That is the fastest growing sport in the United States, by the way, is pickleball. And he didn't know that. Folks, if you need electrical service, you're building a home, remodeling a home, just need to move an outlet in a room, Went Services can come and handle that for you. They can even handle bigger things like providing you a whole home generator. For all your electrical needs, Went Services is the one that I've called, and you can call them too. They do a great job, and when I had some work done in my shop, they actually suggested moving a couple outlets from where I wanted them to where they thought they'd be more useful, and turns out they were right. So I appreciate their insight and their willingness to lend that knowledge to me, because I thought, I knew what I wanted, but nope, they knew better. USA Concrete Coating, 578 Home. Give Charlie Garcia a call for all your concrete coating needs. They will put down a tough as nails polyurethane product that won't stick, peel, crack, or fade. You don't have to do it yourself. They'll come and do it all, and in most cases can get it done in just one day. You want reliable trash service in Victoria County and 6 contiguous counties? White Trash Service is the one to call, 550-1826. For weekly service, whether you want just that curbside bin or you need something bigger, a dumpster, a roll-off. They've also got demolition services. White Trash can handle all your trash collection needs. And if you want to start eating better and living healthier, Paravita Wellness is the one to go visit, right there on Airline in the Town and Country Center. Erica and her gang have done a great job. They make great meals. My favorite, the egg roll in a bowl. It's become my weekly go-to. Their meal's roughly 400 to 500 calories per. So they'll get you eating better. But they've got smoothies there as well. They've got nutritional drinks, pre- and post-workout stuff. They can help you with nutritional planning, diet planning. They can put you on a meal plan. If you're too busy to cook, they've got great, healthy grab-and-go meals. Or if you enjoy cooking, Eric can put you on a diet plan using your groceries so you can eat healthier at home. Now, please welcome back to the Wade and Carter Show. It's been a while. Victoria County Judge Ben Zeller is here. I'll give you the mic right next to me and the camera.
I thought you'd never summon me, Ash.
You were so busy enamored with the sunrise.
You've got a good view here.
I didn't want to ruin your Zen-like moment that you were. Those headphones work there if you like. I don't.
Which of these 8 cameras are we looking at?
You're looking right at that one there. And I think this is the one. No, there we go. There you go. Oh, well, how are you, sir?
Doing well, doing well. It's a beautiful morning, nice and cool. I was able to have a good visit with Bill Posey across the lobby over on the Bill Posey show a few minutes ago, and good to be here with you as well, filling in for Brent wherever he may be.
Will Vincent asks, is Brent okay? Yeah, he's working. He's got some insurance things in Galveston, of all places, that he had to go take care of. Katina Arterberry checking in. So what's new from the county perspective? I've got a couple of questions, and maybe you'll touch on them, but
sure. Well,
what's the latest?
Happy to take your questions, or anybody who's listening in. Happy to take softballs, hardballs, gotcha, any type of question there is. But goodness, we've got a lot going on. You know, I told Bill a few minutes ago that in the nearly 10 years that I've been in office as Victoria County Judge, I don't think there's been a time where we've had more things happening, more projects, more things happening that will positively impact people's lives for decades to come. And I think we may have talked about this, we have in the works what will be the beginning stages of the county, building a mental health hospital here in Victoria. We have a public defender office that is being developed that'll be based in downtown Victoria, but will serve our entire region. We have phase 2 of the emergency room expansion and renovation at Citizens Hospital. The ICU expansion and renovation at the hospital. A lot of positive, big things happening that we're very excited about. Successes we've seen at the airport, a lot of positive momentum, a lot of big stuff all at the same time that we're excited about. So a lot going on with the county, a lot of good stuff.
How many beds will the mental health hospital have?
It'll be up to 60 beds, up to 60 beds. If it happened to be less, that would be just based on construction costs, financial constraints, but up to 60 beds.
And how's that being funded? Is that a joint funding between the county and the state?
That is being funded. The construction is being funded entirely by the state. This is some funding that we were able to get last legislative session. A big thanks to Senator Colcourse for leading that charge, but this will be up to $40 million for the construction of the mental health hospital. These are funds. This is a contract between Victoria County, the Commissioner's Court, and the state. Initially, we were looking at the concept of having this mental health hospital built on the campus of Citizens Medical Center. However, after researching this further, visiting with the administration at our hospital, we think it's better to build this at ground-up construction off-site, allowing expansion opportunities for both Citizens and the mental health hospital in the years down the road. So the county is looking at procuring some property, ideally located for the mental health hospital. That's underway right now.
Don't want to talk about that in case.
Well,
property values in that area jump.
Yes. Ideally, this would be donated land, but in this phase, in this process,
are we looking kind of off the loop-ish so that access is, or do we even want to?
Yeah, the location is still in the works,
okay.
But we've really cleared the biggest hurdle in this process, and that is getting the funding. The need for this, I think, has been seen in the community. I think it's become even more acute in recent years, and now we're able to lead the charge in that with this mental health hospital. We're excited about that. This is obviously a big project, a big undertaking, along with the other things we've got going on, but we're excited about that, and getting a lot done. Like I say, it's a lot of big things all at the same time. We're excited about it. A lot of forward progress at the county.
Jennifer Rayburn asked, does the property have to be donated in order to meet qualifications for the state grant?
It doesn't. The county could purchase it. The only requirement is that the county own it, whether it's donated or purchased. Either is fine.
Yeah, and I can understand the donation because that means more money for construction costs as opposed to spending a chunk of that on the land, and then your facility's not quite as big.
Yeah, the state funding is for this allocation. $40 million is for construction only. Once it's built, Victoria County would own the hospital, but its ongoing operation would be funded by the state. This would be, will be utilizing a third-party contractor, obviously, to manage and to operate the facility, but that would be paid for with ongoing annual funding from the state. So it should not be an expense, a burden to local taxpayers, which makes it even more appealing of a project. So we're excited about this. It'll be something we continue to talk about as steps progress. And
much needed facility for Victoria County. Will it service the region and not just the county as well? Or is this particularly, I would think that 60 beds for Victoria County might just meet the needs of Victoria County alone, let alone DeWitt, Lavaca, Calhoun, and the rest.
It won't be confined only to Victoria County residents, and I share your thought about it filling up pretty quick and then us needing more, which is why we're looking at the opportunity for expansion. We're going to be visiting a mental health hospital here in the coming weeks that we're kind of going to be mirroring this off of, basing this off of. There was one constructed in Montgomery County that's going to be expanded through the same funding mechanism that we're getting. We're going to be going to look at that, but we're excited about it. Obviously, at the very beginning stages, similar to us being at the beginning stages of our public defender office, but that too is another huge step forward that serves not only Victoria but our entire region. At the outset, it'll be based in Victoria, but be serving the counties of Lavaca, Jackson, and Refugio. And then I see it really expanding to other counties throughout the region as well.
Interesting that the state is going back into the building of mental health facilities when governmental entities 30 years ago decided they needed to get out of that business and just threw money at mental health without any real plan to deal with it. And now we're back kind of where we started.
The state had divested of that significantly, drastically reducing the number of available beds throughout the state, and that has exacerbated a lot of the problems that we're seeing. But I think now, with attention appropriately being paid to mental health, the state's putting more money into it, as it should, and this is a step in the right direction for
Absolutely.
sure.
Switching gears, what's the latest with the airport? The last I think you were here talking about a different way to manage it with the city and the county coming together. How's that progressing? Or is it?
Well, that as you may have seen in the media, the city council voted down the concept of the co-sponsorship, shared expenses, shared management structure of the airport. And while, I don't necessarily fault them for that, like I was talking about on Bill's show, I think what led to that was there wasn't a full understanding of what all the expenses are that the county commissioner's court puts into the airport. In a lot of circles, I think there was an assumption that the airport was making money and that commissioner's court was on the sidelines, not doing much of anything, when nothing could be further from the truth. There's about 5 different ways that the county has historically and continues to support or subsidize our airport, whichever term you want to use. We transfer money directly into the airport budget, and that changes from year to year. Close to $200,000 we're doing next year. Another mechanism is that we pay for airport-specific expenses outside of the airport budget, in Commissioner's Court budget, to help the airport. One of the biggest parts of that is funding the airport firefighting and rescue operation, over $500,000 a year that we pay on the county side, that's completely attributable to the airport. Another way that we help fund the airport is through rent. It used to be we made a large transfer every year to the airport. We now pay rent on our buildings, and so the county doesn't rent property anywhere, but we rent probably close to $400,000 a year in rental payments to the airport. If it were any other entity, we would either purchase or move elsewhere, but it supports the airport, and we're happy to do that. Another way that we support is through grant matches, which has been in the millions of dollars over the years.
A lot of those for runway repairs and renovations, correct?
And yes, our runway funding for runway and taxiway improvements has been a big success story recently. We've begun the long anticipated process to get the funding to start improving, fully renovating our runways over the years. Commissioner's Court advanced $1.6 million earlier this year in order to get that multi-year, multi-tens of millions of dollar project started. We've started that. Examples of grant matching would additionally be the terminal grant that we're applying for. If approved, we'd be building a brand new modern terminal, and we'd be matching at minimum of $1 million, if not more. So those are some of the things Commissioner's Court has done every year, and happy to do so. We see the value of keeping our airport open and operational, and it remains open and operational through that funding from Commissioner's Court. And I think that may have been something that wasn't fully understood. That's a hefty price tag. So that
And that
concept.
leads me into the question that Callie Frommy has. It seems like the expenses should have been disclosed to the city council at the beginning of the process. Were they, or was it more just a lack of understanding, or maybe not knowing all the costs that were involved?
It may have been not knowing all the costs. We've been funding this the same way for years, been talking about that for years, at least on the part of Commissioner's Court. And our goal from the beginning was 50-50, splitting expenses, splitting costs, and also splitting the management, the oversight. It was that cost bucket that seemed to be the deal breaker. I don't blame the city for that. I had hoped that our agreement would be also approved on the part of the city council. But, this is not the only arrangement in which we can partner on things, in which we can...
You think there's an opportunity to revisit that going forward, or has that ship sailed?
We passed a resolution that we're willing to support. We remain willing to support. If the council has a change of heart and decides that they're willing to do that, we'd be on board with that. But there's also a lot of other opportunities. In fact, probably opportunities that provide a bigger impact to the airport and also that cost less money. About a year ago on the show, I think I had talked about our effort of a county hotel occupancy tax as a mechanism to fund some of the capital projects at the airport. The concept is that we have things out there that need to be done. And what was proven, again, in this study we did was the huge economic impact of the airport. So the concept was to pass legislation that we were pursuing that would allow the county to take a small 2% hotel occupancy tax that we could then put into capital projects at the airport in addition to the other eligible uses for that. I think a realistic revenue estimate would have been about $500,000 a year. A necessary component of this effort to pass this legislation is a resolution of support from the city council. We did not have that in the last legislative session, but we're optimistic that'll be something that we can partner on to create a new funding mechanism for the airport. And if passed, that would be a huge and permanent revenue stream that we can utilize, and we see positive things happening from that.
And that would be a change in state legislation because the hotel motel tax occupancy tax does not allow for that currently, my understanding.
Correct.
Would it be something that would be specific to Victoria County? Because I've looked at some of these hotel motel tax laws, and they're like, for a city situated in such and such county which borders on a lake to its left, they can then use this money to do X, Y, Z. I mean, they get that specific.
Yes.
So that it's not a blanket for the entire state to go willy-nilly on these things.
Correct. We have the bill written, and it is similar to that. The description would only apply to Victoria, and it would take legislation to do, which is always an uphill climb. But the support that we had from the State Hotel Association, locally, and then at the statewide level, we're optimistic about this, and it would be written in that way to where it only applies to Victoria. That's one of several things we're going to be pursuing to keep the airport moving forward.
How are employments right now? Because I know there was a push, I think about a month ago, to try to get more people flying out of Victoria.
Yeah, although the co-sponsorship discussion didn't lead to what we had hoped, we have a lot of positive things going. One of them is the employments. We are well on track to hit the 10,000 employment threshold by year end. We're going to hit that this year for the first time in probably 15 plus years. And that'll open up additional funding to help us complete some of these projects out there. We have been actively marketing the air service You may have seen in the media not too long ago, Commissioner's Court implemented some promotions for the community, for our employees, the goal being to hit that 10,000 employment threshold, and we're well on the way to achieve that by year end.
What's the latest status with SkyWest? Because originally they had said that they were leaving Victoria plus other markets. Have they backed off on that, or are they still looking to leave?
They did indicate a plan to leave. Of course,
they can't.
That
law
has
doesn't
to
allow
be.
them to.
The
Yeah.
law doesn't allow it. That has to be approved by the FAA, and the FAA won't do that unless and until we have a suitable replacement. Which, if that doesn't exist, they won't leave. And
We're not going back to boutique air and 9-seat aircrafts and things like that.
No, we
right?
see as the fix for that them being able to rebid their contract, which we're coming up upon that time anyway, a bid that reflects their costs, which have gone up for everybody, and then that higher amount is funded by the feds so that they remain here, they're happy here, they're making money here.
Yeah, there's a federal laws require air service to be provided to certain communities, right?
Correct.
And so
Correct.
essential air service, I think, is a layman's term. I'm not exactly sure of the
Right.
actual term,
And
but
we're-
and we're deemed one of those communities that needs essential air service.
We're in the EAS program, Essential Air Service Program, and well, one of the things I talked about earlier today was it's tough running an airport. It's tough running a regional airport. It's expensive, and one big consideration is that it's a long-term goal, a long-term effort. A lot of the positive steps we're seeing now are due to commitment and consistency years back, keeping things running, keeping things operational, the great work of our airport manager. But we're seeing a lot of positive steps. The enplanement success as we enter year end, the beginning of what will be tens of millions of dollars in grant funding to improve our runway. If we do achieve this terminal grant, that would be a huge deal. We're also actively, and this has been a little bit behind the scenes lately, we still remain actively pursuing our Texas Division of Emergency Management complex that would be out either on the airport grounds or adjacent to it, that would bring a lot of resources and activity and funds and people out there.
And consolidation of services,
that
right?
we see being able to build upon. Yes.
Okay. All right, let me take our final break, Judge, and then we'll come back because Justin Stolsky has a question that I think probably only you can answer. So we'll take our final break and be right back. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. Looks like next week will be Wade and Carter night, I think Tuesday night. But don't hold me to that at this point. But Brent should be back either tomorrow or Thursday, and we will get confirmation on that. But you don't have to wait for us to go and have a good time and win some money. Kind of helps when we're there because about 30 to 40% of our listeners that show up on Wade and Carter night tend to win. So your odds are better on Wade and Carter night. But great time and great food can be had at Palace Bingo any day of the week. Gray Barn Design and Gray Barn Mercantile for all your home decor needs, wedding and event design needs. Go see my beautiful wife, Cheryl, over at the Gray Barn, or give her a call, 920-6803. She can handle all of that, whether I'm going to use some terms that I don't normally use here, but she has a great palette right now of fall colors. That would be perfect for your Thanksgiving gatherings. And she knows how to pull all that together because I certainly don't have a clue. And that's why she has the Gray Barn and I don't. So stop by and see Cheryl at the Gray Barn, Town and Country Center, Airline, and Laurent, or give her a call, 361-920-6803. Never too early to start planning your event and Christmas events and decorating for Christmas. She can help make your home look absolutely spectacular for the Christmas season. Atzenoffer, a South Texas tradition since 1926. Think about that, folks. Almost as long as Victoria's been around, Atzenoffer's been there. Since Chevy started making cars, there's been Atzenoffer pretty much. Chevrolets, Mitsubishis, Mazdas, all makes and models of pre-owned vehicles, They've got a great truck center. If you need bigger trucks or fleets for work, Aston can help hook you up. Check them out at astonoffer.com as well. Armor Air, 579-0966. Simply, I think, the best in air conditioning service, installation, and doing it right the first time. What I like, I had to call Armor Air twice this summer. Both times they were like, hey, here's what you need to have done. Here's what can wait. And they gave me the option to either go ahead and do it all or wait on some stuff. But they didn't just start doing a bunch of work and then surprise me with a bill, which isn't always the case with service providers. They'll just do the work and all of a sudden, oh, there it is. But no, Armor Air does a great job to keep you involved and informed all along the way. And the chopping block on Navarro, just south of the Loop. Still got ground beef on sale. I was in there yesterday. They still got some New York strips on sale. And they've got these awesome boudin stuffed jalapeno poppers. I've never seen that combination of jalapeno poppers before. So get over there. Get in there today. They've got all sorts of rubs for meat. And they'll you talk to John or Sean, and they'll help you devise a plan to cook whatever meat the chopping block sells you, because they're good. They just finished. They were at the Turkey Fest cook-off and got second place in brisket. So they know what they're doing when it comes to meat and cooking your meat. So stop by the chopping block. Great deals as always at ground beef. That's 80/20 Black Angus. So that's lean ground beef, and you're not going to find it for $5 anywhere. So. We're joined by Victoria County Judge Ben Zeller, and Justin Switalski asks, what does the data of projected flights and usages of a facility show to support these projects? He's asking for those who don't understand, which means himself, and the needs of the county airport in providing such support.
Sure. Well, the data usage leading to what we feel is a strong grant application for the terminal has to do with the amount of air traffic that we're now seeing, the size of an airplane that we now have, which previously we didn't, and then also, and importantly, the security apparatus and layout that TSA requires from a screening and security standpoint. If you've flown recently, you can see how when the flight is nearly full, the secure area barely sits everybody. In fact, it doesn't sit everybody. And then also what used to be just a metal detector and a machine that the bags go through is now the minimum standard is now the body scanning apparatus. We've had to expand over the years to accommodate these changes in TSA requirements. So given the 10,000 threshold that we're going to hit, the space and layout configurations that TSA requires, the size of the aircraft that we have now and anticipate requiring in the future, make us feel as though we have a very strong application for this grant, which is not guaranteed, but we're optimistic. We think our needs justify it. We think that the funds we've put into the airport and that we're willing to put into the airport make it an appealing project on the part of the Fed. So we're happy about that. But those are a few of the elements that they look at in making these decisions.
Yeah, for those of you that fly, I don't know why you wouldn't fly out of Victoria, to be honest. I mean, unfortunately, now that you are, and we're going to get 10,000 employments, we've got to do some expansion. But the convenience of it, the free parking, the fact that you don't have to show up 2 hours before your flight to go through the security process, it's so... If it ever goes away, I will miss it, and I hope it doesn't. Because
it would be a big loss to the community.
Because if you think about it, you're driving 2 hours to Austin, 2 hours to Houston, so that means you're on the road at least 2 hours before your flight to get there. 2 hours before your flight, so you can get through the large security process at either of those airports. So
yeah, it would be a big loss. We've achieved the level of service that we've got. Our goal is to keep it. A lot of communities have not been successful doing that. our goal is to keep it, and it is expensive. Like I say, the benefits of a regional airport are easily seen. The expenses, the commitment less so, but Commissioners Court remains committed to its success. And we're winning on many fronts. Still have a challenge on the land development part of it, but we're going to be taking some proactive steps here in the immediate term to help bring new tenants onto the property. It's not ideal that the county is the biggest paying tenant. We need private industry out
when
there
you
as
already
well.
own the buildings and everything else. It's,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
So people don't quite. It's mind-boggling, but that's the federal government.
Yeah,
for
well,
you.
and that's a requirement that against revenue diversion for those that utilize the airport, including the owners of the airport. There needs to be fair market consideration paid, which we're happy to do. I mean, prior to us paying what we see as fair market value, we simply
Just gave them the money.
So I haven't had a problem with that. The court hasn't had a problem with the significant amount of money we put into it. It's unusual for an airport to make money. Obviously, we want to move towards that goal. But the reality is that the benefit of our airport is a convenience to our residents and also an economic driver, the impact of which was very much underscored in this study we did through this consultant we used, underscoring what we already have known is that the airport is a large economic driver that we see a lot of employment, a lot of spin-off activity from that benefits the county, the city, all of our residents, and frankly, the entire region.
And where did that report kind of show where future economic activity could come from at the airport? Or was it more a snapshot of the here and now?
That governance study, which underscored the economic impact, was more the here and now. We've done another study, a land use study, which identified both the parcels of land out at the airport most suitable for development and likely industries that would be well suited to go in those locations.
Junior Sample says a flight to Austin would be much better than Houston. That we don't determine. My understanding is you don't have any say in that. That's up to the airline.
That's not a local decision, entirely by the airline and its complicated algorithm and demand and connecting
it's
flights.
Very much
and all
demand,
that.
and not only demand, but you've got to have space at the airport for the plane to land. So a lot of times, if you don't have the gate access, it doesn't matter. So
right, yeah,
there's a lot of moving parts, and just because we want it here doesn't mean Austin Bergstrom wants it there.
Right. It unfortunately is not a local decision,
and it costs airlines money to then get additional gates. So it's an interesting piece if you
and it's a heavily subsidized federal flight as it is. So unfortunately, we can't make that call. If it was up to me, up to us, we'd have more locations, more daily flights, but it's the way it goes.
Yeah. Well, we're at the top of the hour. Judge, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much.
Enjoyed the visit, Ash.
Always enjoy you coming by, and next time we'll get to the things we didn't get to today. Anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you all mañana. Bye, folks.
I've been locked up for driving 120 through town.